That's at least my perception of it. All right, last story, just kind of a fun wrap up for everything because some of you still like to hear the women bad, and we've got another update on our lovely Jana. Jana, if you don't know, this is Jana Hocking. She is a dating professional out of Australia. She is 39 years old. She sleeps with everything that moves as long as it's attractive and or athletic. And she finally realizes, hey, you know what? I really like scumbags. And so for the 83rd time, she's decided she needs to change her ways. Will she? No. Like the other previous 82 times, she didn't learn a lesson. But now she's totally sure she's going to change her mind. So this is from Jana just a couple weeks ago. She says, here's the reason you can't get a boyfriend. And it's ironic. She's writing this as advice to women, but she needs to take the advice herself. But she never does. She never does. So Jana is the poster child for modern women because we get to follow along and watch all her exploits and all her failings until she becomes a single cat mom and blames men, and then she's unhappy and alone for the rest of her life. So I thought I would read this to give a little update on lovely Jana and how well things are going. She says, what if there was one word that could still perfectly summarize why you are still single? Well, there may be. I just happened to stumble upon it recently, and I had the biggest light bulb moment that helped me face a painful truth. It's called fleabagging, and it's safe to say I have suffered from it for at least 10 years now, perhaps longer. That is correct, Jana. She says the word comes from the iconic TV series Fleabag, about a woman in her 30s who bounces from one disastrous man to the next. They all have one thing in common. They're emotionally unavailable, slightly risky, massive players, and all-around dud dudes. But the lead character keeps dating the same type of guy repeatedly. And then, ironically, she throws in a picture of herself, as if she was the main character that keeps dating these same kind of losers constantly. Who's Jana talked about? She's talked about meeting guys at the bar that were attractive, that were funny, that were athletic, that were football players, that were rugby players, and then she sleeps with them and hangs out with them for a weekend, and then she decides they're duds, and she moves on to the next one, and the next, and the next, and the next. And she's been doing that for the last 20 years of her life or whatever it is, and then she gives dating advice to other women that is basically nothing. And so we get to follow her path through history and how she's just like every other woman, chasing after the bad boys, thinking she's learned a lesson afterwards. And she says, oh, if only I had known this earlier. And then she says she's going to change her ways. And then the next story she writes is how she met a hot guy in a bar, and she tells us her story. It's the same as every other time she's done it. She says, during the lockdowns, I devoured the TV series because I'd never found a show that resonated with me so deeply. However, therein lies the problem. This satirical TV series made the punchline about her having terrible taste in men a trait I rather annoyingly found in myself. That's right. She admits she's like fleabagging. She enjoys the playing, the players, the single men, the good-looking, the guys that are jerks that just sleep with her and move on. And now she says, oh, this TV show reminds me of me. Oh, those men, I hate them so much, even though it's me that's doing this to myself. She says, now don't get me wrong, these guys are all perfectly fine if you're friends with them, funny, charming, the life of the party, but to date them is an entirely different story. My 10 years of situationships all featured one thing. I dated guys who were never in the market for a girlfriend, and I collected them like baseball cards. But also remember, Jana is the same woman that wrote a story that says she only now dates men after they spend $2,000 on her. And Jana says, I only date men after spending at least, I forget how many hours with them. She won't sleep with them until they spend so many hours together. And then Jana's the same woman that says she does this, and she does this, and all these stories. And at the end of it, none of them, oh, and she also says she has a low body count. I kid you not. She also says she has a low body count, even though she's dated men and collected them like baseball cards and slept with them endlessly. The story of Jana is wonderful because day by day, story by story, you can realize that she is very much the same as all the other women out there. Always watch what they do, not what they say. And they say, I learned a lesson. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then a good-looking guy walks by or an athlete walks by and they say, I'm not going to do, oh, that's nice, candy. And they just chase off after him. And then they get played again and again and again. And every time that's, oh, I'm going to learn from this guy. But because they're an alpha widow, they're never going to step down. They're never going to settle down. They're never going to step down or accept down. It's the same thing as always. And now she says, quote, and I can't even shame them because it's what I accepted. In fact, if I'm being completely honest with myself, they all showed their red flags early. I just happened to turn into a bull when I saw them and charged straight towards those red flags with a big old smile on my face. Oh, Jana. And it's not just me. So many of my friends are finding themselves stuck in never-ending situationship cycles with guys who have zero plans of settling down. They go on cute dates. They have fun sleepovers. We know what sleepovers are. That's a little bit of the old in and out. But when it comes to the what are we chat, well, that's when things get tricky. The guy bounces, he ghosts. It's really horrible to watch it play out. And a recent study by dating site Plenty of Fish found that 63% of women are stuck in the same cycle. You got to love it. You got to love it. Here, Jana says, I'm doing it. My friends are doing it. We're all doing it. And 63% of women are also doing it. They're all sleeping with the same men, having the same fun, with the same good-looking guys, sharing the same STDs, and it never goes anywhere, and they're perpetually single. Until, usually the way this goes, is they become cat ladies, bitter, gain weight, become 50-year-old cat ladies, or they get knocked up by one of these dudes, they have the kid, because they want kids eventually, and they've got the best DNA on the market because it's from Sir, Chat-a-lot over here. So they have the kid, and then they spend the rest of their 30s looking for the guy that will be the provider. He's probably either shorter or less attractive or not a player. He's probably a nice guy that can't find a woman that doesn't have kids or whatever. And here, Jana, we'll just use this photo for an example. Here's Jana, 39. Let's pretend now she's 40. She's got a kid, a single kid. She shows up like this, but instead she shows up to a guy that looks like, I don't know, like an average kind of nerdy guy that has a decent job. And she says, you can get this smoking hot body and this beautiful woman. All you have to do is take care of me and my kid. And that guy, because he's blue-pilled and a loser and has never had a shot at sleeping with attractive women, not that Jana's attractive, but you know what I'm saying, will say, okay. And then they get married, and she's, in the meantime, cheating on him with a hot guy at the gym, but she's got her provider, and she's settled down now. She's not happy. He's not happy. The kids aren't happy. The only guy that's probably really happy is the guy that's shagging her on the side from the gym when she asks, should I leave my husband for you? And he laughs and walks away because he's sleeping with 5 other women. It's the same over and over again. And what's funny is if I did this video 5 years ago, and she saw this video 5 years ago, she'd be calling me a misogynistic pig. As a matter of fact, she did an article about me, and she pretty much called me a loser and a misogynistic pig. But here we are just a year or two later after the last video I did about her, where she called me these names, and now she's like, he's right. Everything he said about me before, I now see in myself. We told you that. Men in general tell women that, but they have to figure it out for themselves because they're mentally challenged children. And so now she realizes at almost the age of 40 that what I said a couple years ago and men have been saying about these women for the last decade is actually correct. Welcome to the party, Jana. I'm glad you finally agree with us about what we've been saying about you. Now, for the 83rd time, Jana has had the veil removed from her eyes, and she sees what's really happening. And now she's going to turn a corner and do exactly the same thing she's been doing after saying she's turning a corner. She says, thankfully, I've turned a corner. Her corner is a donut. She's just going around and around and around doing the same thing every time. But she thinks she's turned a corner. The crazy thing is I actually just got really bored of the whole thing. The drama, the rejection, the emotional roller coaster. It stopped being excited, and I longed for a bit of normality. Plus, my cortisol levels were shot. Basically, I had situationship burnout, and thank God. Earlier this year, I made some fairly dramatic changes. I called off any form of kinda sorta dating scenario. I started asking guys what they were looking for a lot earlier, and when a guy showed Peter Pan tendencies, they never really grow up, I quit the mission. The old me would have seen it as a fun challenge. Oh, Lord. Since then, things have been on an upturn. I've started going for guys with gentlemanly traits. I was flattered when a guy recently asked me out to dinner, and he not only made the booking, but also turned up in a gorgeous outfit with a fresh spritz of cologne and a great attitude. And here's the kicker, girls. He then followed it up with a swoon-worthy text when he left thanking me for a great time. Now, all this sounds like minor things, but when you've been settling for breadcrumbs in the past, this is actually a big whoop. Plus, it says a lot about the standard for dates I had accepted in the past. So, what's she been doing? She just found a bad boy that was good looking, decided to sleep with him, slept him, he ghosted her, and now she's saying, I need more. I need more in my life. I've been accepting breadcrumbs in the past. Now, I, at almost the tender age of 40, deserve filet mignon. I deserve more. I deserve better than these players that just want to sleep with me. I deserve a man that has everything. Not only should he be hot like the bad boys and risky like the bad boys and exciting like the bad boys, but now he also must be interested in me and follow up with me and have good money and take care of me. This is how it happens every single time. They give their best years to the players, and then because she's gotten used to sleeping with 8s and 9s and 10s because they have nothing better to do and want to use her as a plaything to empty their balls, now she says, okay, now I want that, but also I want him to follow up and put effort in. Except the two don't belong to each other, Jana, and she will find this out soon. Because the men that will care for her and give her a nice date and be interested in her, they'll not be tall and dashing, they won't be good looking, they won't be heartthrobs, they'll probably be successful middle-aged guys, and she'll be bored of them because they're not the hot player types. She says, for far too many times, we're settling for a drink and a fondle and then calling it a date. Snore. That's right. She's playing, and now she wants something even better. Now that she's serious. Guys, how does that turn out every single time? We know. She says there's a famous saying, the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, perhaps it's about time we start taking responsibility for our own part in this garbage dating process and start upping our standards. Let me find it.
Ding, ding, ding! What do we have for her, Johnny?
Every single time. Every single time. I'm 40. All the playboys, all the hot guys that wanted to sleep with me and party with me, and I thought they were great, but I'm aging. I'm a mature flower now. I deserve better. At 40. Upping our standards. Guys, how many times do we hear this? Every single time. She's doing the same thing that every other woman does who's been sleeping with bad boys and partying with the bad boys. They say, I require a better man than the player. I want the guy that looks attractive and he's tall and he's handsome and he's rich and he's all the 6s, all the 7s, all the 10s. And I deserve this now. And I'm going to find a man that's all those things and he wants to marry me at the ripe age of 40 with my high body count and all my baggage and my issues and my non-having eggs and my wrinkles. But now I want the Mr. Perfect and I need to up my standards. Every time. And this is great for a guy that's maybe 55 or 60 that's kept himself in good shape and is okay with a high body count and wants a woman that maybe is a little bit older trophy wife, because this is perfect for him. That's all she's good for. Because in a guy in his 40s that is all the things that she wants, he's still sleeping with the 20-year-olds. And as a matter of fact, when you were 20, Jana, you were probably sleeping with him, saying you're really attracted to older men because he's in his 40s and he's all the 8s or whatever now. She says that there's the famous saying, the madness of doing the same thing over and over again. And now she wants the difference. She says, if he sounds like a dud, don't see him as a challenge. See him as a full stop and move on to someone better, someone good for your cortisol levels. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough.